What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode on Proven Power Cycles. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric. We got Daryl right there, and we got Lewis working on the ZX14r. Well, one of many here, but we want to give you guys an update on this thing. This is the one from South Carolina. We did the engine rebuild on it. Now we have to wipe the bike down. It is a little dirty. We have been kind of cleaning it as we go, but as time progresses, we got to keep wiping it down, obviously. But as you guys have seen already, we got it fired up, we got it running. We were waiting on the chain and sprockets. Unfortunately, they did not come in before I was leaving to go out of town, but we got the new swing arm on, new chain and sprocket, and it looks killer. So we were having issues with this master cylinder and or the slave cylinder. It's not pushing the clutch, it's not disengaging the clutch, so we're having some problems with it. So we're gonna upgrade the master cylinder and we're gonna get him another slave cylinder and get this thing bled out. We also, he said go ahead and swap these lines out. So he does have quite a few lines on the bike. So we do have some of these OEM brake lines still on here as well. And to me and to Lewis, we're looking at these things and we're like, man, it's really killing the look of the bike. The bike is really coming together and looking really, really good. So when we went over this, we were like, man, it would be really nice if we could redo the brake lines, at least make it, you know, a little bit nicer. The bike has a lot going for it, and of course, once we clean it up, it's gonna look so good. It's gonna have a fresh new engine, all new internals. You know, I mean, he's redoing so much. He's got a brand new swing arm. We're gonna have all these new components on the bike, and the last thing you want to do is have some old brake system on it, especially when it's gonna go a little bit quicker than what you previously had it at. So thankfully, he went ahead and said, you know what, guys, go ahead, let's do it. Let's just get the new brake lines in. Let's pull the trigger on it. So it's almost ready for the dyno. There's just these last few little components that you don't really know until you go through them, that you start finding them out, and you're like, hey, by the way, you know, we're noticing this. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? You tell us. Well, we always come up with a game plan. We always try to figure it out, and we execute it. So here we are now, but the bike is almost done, guys. It is almost done. I cannot wait to throw this thing on the dyno and see what this thing is going to produce. I have a really good feeling. There's something inside of me that's telling me it's gonna do really, really good on the dyno. So this bike should be damn near on its way to being completed here. And here is the turbo, the 05 ZX-R1000. So we have last few little items that we need to, you know, take care of, like we discussed. We got the seat back from Sammy Seats. If you guys don't know Sammy Seats, he does incredible work. He did not give us any kind of deal or anything like that. I just want to let you guys know we're not getting paid to advertise for him. I'm just giving him a shout out. He's done a few seats for us in the past. They've all came out really good. This one, no different. It looks killer. So we kind of customized it a little bit. He does this in red normally, like the Gixxer, like the red R. However, the owner of this bike was like, hey, I like just everything black and yellow. I just want it all black and yellow. So that's what we stuck with, is just kind of an all black with a yellow, the OEM paint scheme. We kind of carried that into the seat. Well, Sammy did rather, but again, we just kind of customized it a little for him. We have to ship out the pressure plate. We're doing a two-stage lockup. This clutch was not gonna be able to hold. I don't know how it was holding, honestly, before. More or less, it's a stock clutch in there. So we are gonna swap that out. We're gonna get the two-stage lockup. You know, there's some little odds and ends that we gotta do to finish up the bike to get it on the dyno, but we have, what's going on today is Lewis is gonna get it up the lift today so we can do the tires. So he's gonna get a new set of tires. These Pirelli are also 2s. Honestly, I've never really had good luck with these. So this tire is gonna come off. We're gonna throw a Michelin Power 5 on here, front and rear. And we're gonna get him a new chain as well. We got him new chain and sprockets, so we're gonna set him up on a real nice, clean setup. He wanted everything to be just nice, clean, and flows really well. So that's exactly what we're gonna deliver on. To add to the vlog this week, we have another ZX14r engine that is damaged that we are getting ready to do another rebuild on. Now, from my understanding, this customer just wants another OEM rebuild, but we're gonna talk to him. We're gonna see if we can do a few extra little things for him. See if he'll be all right with it, making a little extra power.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't try to push a little more.
I know, we're constantly trying to push a little bit more every time, but either way, I mean, I know for the most part, he just wants us back on the road and he just, you know, wants to make sure it's good. So we're gonna go through it, and diagnose it and see what's going on with it. But what we really wanted to touch base on in this video was Lewis found a surprise in which I did not catch it on film because admittedly I have a very busy dyno schedule right now.
I do have pictures of before me taking the motor out that the 2 front motor mounts are missing.
What Lewis was saying was that the bike, it has the front mounts as far as the brackets go. As you can see right over there, those are the brackets right over there and by the radiator. Those are the 2 front mount motor mount brackets. They were attached to the frame, so they're bolted into the frame. They bolt in here, okay? 1, 2. They were bolted into the frame, but that little triangle piece comes down to here. So just to show you guys kind of how it looks, this is what it looks like with the engine mount, okay? This is the engine mount here. There's a little, that piece there's a cross brace that goes from here to there, to this one here, to that bolt there. There's a cross beam that goes to that, okay? So that's what that is. And then here on the bottom is the engine mount that goes to the cylinder head. And that bottom one was missing on both sides.
Yep.
So there was nothing holding this engine in on the front, and it gets even better. So I've seen that before where people will delete the front mounts or they'll delete at least one of these front mounts. I've seen that many times. It's even on my bike. We've deleted one of the front ones. But it gets even more interesting because the rear was only being held by 1 bolt. So the entire engine was being held by 1 bolt.
And a spacer.
And a spacer. And that spacer goes up here, which is basically in between the frame and the engine. So that spacer, go ahead Lewis, I'll let you go.
So the spacer will sit right here in between the frame and the motor. These, on the other hand, it's not going to let me screw it up.
Yeah, you got to use the bolt.
You can screw them outward, and it's an adjustable spacer essentially, and it pushes up against the frame to hold the motor and the frame nice and tight. So when you run the motor mount bolts through, it's nice and flush.
That's incredible.
It was missing. The bolt is missing completely for this
The
one.
entire bolt that goes through this engine here. This is the upper on the rear. There's a bolt that goes through here, and then there's the lower one that goes through here. So all he had was this one. That's it.
I mean, essentially,
this thing's
whenever
dirty.
I do put the motors back up in there, I do screw these out into the frame, and it does hold tight.
It does. It is.
Tight, but
yeah,
the
yeah.
vibrations from the motor hitting bumps and going around, I seriously don't understand how it was sitting there.
Yeah, we got a bunch of oil right here.
Yeah.
Here. So yeah, there's definitely some oil that is seeping in from the airbox. So we're gonna have to go through the golly. Look at all these leaves. Oh my gosh. It's like he parked underneath the tree. Oh geez. Well, anyway, guys, here's another motor. So we are waiting. We have an 08 ZX14 engine that's also out at machine shop right now. So that 08 ZX14 motor, we're waiting on it currently. It's at the other machine, or it's at different machine shops. Where the cylinder head's at one and the lower case is at another. We're still waiting on both of them to get finished. Yeah, the lower one, there was a bunch of issues with the 08 ZX14 motor that, again, guys, like, we don't know until we get into these motors. Like, the cam cap was broken on the cylinder head. It had fallen apart when we took it as we were loosening it. Lewis loosened the bolt and the cam cap just fell in pieces. It was like, what the hell? We had that issue. The block had a bunch of copper spray all over the block. So when we went to go clean off the deck surface on the block, there was a ton of all these like little pitting and metal pieces. It was very, very odd. I've never seen it before, to be honest with you. Never seen it. So again, it's another issue. We talked to Millennium. They said, yep, what we're going to do is we're going to do a surface grind, and then we're going to replate it because sometimes it'll peel the plating and it'll mess it up. So you got to replate the motor. So it's not a cheap process, and it's not a quick process. But we're waiting on all that currently. So in the meantime, we're going to take apart this engine and get this thing moving at the same time. While we're waiting on all of that to come back, we're going to get this disassembled and get this moving. So interesting. You always find something interesting with these builds. I got to say, it's definitely been a fun process getting one particular bike in consistently. Because back in the day, I would do like a lot of the Gixxer 750s. I did 07 Gixxer, 08 Gixxer 1000s. But now the 14 platform, it's been very, very interesting seeing how many different engines and the issues that are coming in with them are wild.
If everything goes smooth, here's the timeline.
Yeah.
Then you run into issues like this, like the other 08 motor. There's a lot of variables that can happen when the engine's
There's always something. Yeah, there's always something that you're like, hey, we didn't know. It's not like we could see into the future. We don't know who's been in here. We don't know what's been happening. We don't know how you've been riding your bike. We don't know how it blew up. It's like all we can go off of is your story, and that's really it, you know? Like,
there's two sides to a story, or three sides. Her side, and then the
truth.
So, you say you did this, but your bike is saying you did this.
Yeah. Another little update we wanted to give you guys. Now we're making a video for this bike specifically, but we got the SC project on this. It looks killer.
It does. I like that camera.
I know.
Weird.
At first I didn't like it, and then seeing it on the bike, I like it.
So I'm gonna say this. Doesn't that kind of look like the Alpha from
Yoshi? Yeah, it does. So the phone call I just got, the gentleman was asking me about, hey, I like SC, but the normal ones are too loud. And I'm like, well, it's funny you said that. We're doing an R1 right now where it's got the SC1R, which is a longer pipe. It's got more packing. It's not a typical SC exhaust. And I'm like, and it looks really good, actually. I go, it's a larger muffler, but it looks good.
Looks nice.
See, in the video, this video doesn't really do it any justice. Yeah, the video makes it kind of look fat. It definitely added 5 pounds to her, you know?
Yeah, on camera, I look a little bit bigger.
Yeah. But in person, it's a sharp looking pipe. I like the angles, I like the cuts. I like how it's kind of got this odd cut, honestly. It's almost hexagonal.
It's more like a straight.
Or a pentagon or some shit, you know? It's weird, but it's got a cool little cut to it. I like it.
Makes it unique.
Yeah, and again, like in person, it looks better than kind of like what I can shoot on the video, to be honest with you. But so the last thing we need to do, we need to install this. Daryl didn't know. So it's basically ready for dyno. So this is going to go on the dyno next. Lewis got the ZX14r motor all out of the frame over here, and we are going through now the damage. And let's see, we got cylinders 4, 3, 2, 1.
So there was a little bit of play on cylinder 3 because I was pushing on them, and this one itself has like a lot more play than the others. Like I pushed down on it and it physically moved.
Let's look at the cylinder head too. They're moving smoothly. That's a good sign. Let's check out the cylinder head. No, don't see any bent valves. Don't see any of that. Well, maybe it is in the
Bottom end.
maybe it is still on the bottom end. To me, it sounded almost like a knock. We don't have any contaminants in the oil. We didn't see any metal shavings. Let's get the light again. Let's do a little. Let's look inside each one of these. Do see something in there.
Yeah, there's got a lot of debris for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say, it looks like debris. Yeah, I can't visibly see anything. Well, we, after that quick inspection, just kind of going over it real quickly. Again, it's not like I'm really doing a deep dive on this right now, but we are looking. So the reason why we're also shining the flashlight all inside the cylinder head here is we're trying to look at the valve seats and see if we can see any kind of light coming through. So sometimes it's a little difficult to see if the valve is actually seating all the way. So we'll shine a light, we'll do things like that. We'll put, the next thing we'll probably do like a fluid test. So we'll actually flip it and fill the combustion chamber up with fluid, like gas or WD-40 or brake clean, one of these things that kind of mimic gasoline. Just something thin enough that if we do have a leak, again, we can kind of leak. Other times they have a vacuum seal test. We don't have that set up, so I don't do that. We usually just do liquid. And again, this is just my inspection to give to the customer real quickly. No matter what, we're gonna get the head shaved a little bit. We're gonna clean up the seats. You know, these are things that we normally do when the motor's all disassembled anyway. We're not gonna just slap this back together and just give it, you know, throw it back. Most of the time, whenever people are doing engine rebuilds, they want it rebuilt, not thrown back together and just here you go again, you know, back with old used parts. So we're gonna go through, we're gonna have everything tested anyway from the actual machinist. and give us specifics after they kind of do their tests. So we do as much as we can here, and then like I said, the machine shop kind of tells us the rest if they see anything with their machinery. That's their specialty, just like dyno tuning's kind of ours and stuff. So we're gonna let Lewis keep disassembling this. So when we get into the bottom end and we actually and he gets the cases split, then we'll actually look and see if there's anything visibly on the crank. So if we see that bearing, if it's spun, or you know, if we've seen some burn marks in the crank, then we'll know that's where the damage did occur. But it did have an odd tapping sound, like almost like a valve, honestly. It did sound like a valve. So I'm surprised to see that the cylinder head is perfectly fine. So, but we'll see. We're gonna keep going. He's gonna keep chipping away at this thing. We're gonna get it all disassembled here, and we'll give you guys an update.